Hi everyone, my name is Jordan, and welcome back to our journey through 1950-1990 in art and music history. Today we are still in the 1960s, and we're going to be moving to minimalism. Now, minimalism is an extreme form of abstract art developed in the U.S. In the 1960s and exemplified, made known by artworks composed of simple geometric shapes based on the square and the rectangle, which basically just means these art pieces, very, very simplistic. We're talking squares, rectangles, very simple geometric shapes that are made to represent something a whole lot greater. Now, this is kind of extending this abstract idea in art that the art piece itself should have its own reality and not be an imitation of something or something else. Now, we usually think of art as representing an aspect of the real world, either whether it be a landscape, a person, or even a tin of soup, or reflecting an experience such as emotion or feeling. We kind of rely on art to give us some sort of message or give us some sort of direction when we look at a particular art piece. Although with minimalism, no attempt is made to do this whatsoever. The artist doesn't want you to think deeper into the piece. They don't want you to analyze the color. No, they want you to look directly at what you see and glean from it exactly what you see. Frank Stella, a very famous minimalist painter, said, "What you see is what you see." So that kind of gives you an idea of the nature of this type of art. Now, aesthetically speaking, minimalist art offers a highly purified form of beauty. So it can be also seen as representing qualities as truth, because it doesn't pretend to be anything that it's not. Order, simplicity, and harmony, right? Because when you have something this simple, it's very hard to have the meaning or the message muddled, right? It's very difficult to do so, actually. Minimalist art does not refer to anything beyond its literal presence. If you see a piece, there is no other meaning. That piece is that piece. What you see is what you see. The materials used are not worked to suggest something else. With other arts, if they maybe used a particular type of color or paint or brush, that would be maybe its own meaning. There's none of that here. It is very what you see is what you get. So if a dark color is used, doesn't mean that the artist is trying to suggest a sad mood. It just means he wanted to use a dark color, right? Very literal compared to a lot of other art forms that we've covered, and we kind of see that as a pushback against a lot of popular art. We did discuss just a few videos ago pop art, which kind of had the similar tone of pushing against traditional forms of art, although in its different way, pushing towards commercialism and advertising instead of blatant disregard for all kinds of artistic sense. So that is the biggest difference. Now for our project, to stay on this track of what you see is what you get and keeping things very simple, we're going to look online for different minimalist paintings and artists. A popular minimalist is Donald Judd. Donald Judd was very good at having very simplistic pieces that were often strange to look at in the beginning, and most of the time quite pleasing to the eye for no other reason than its placement on the canvas, right? There was no really reason for it to be enjoyable other than it just looked nice. So here are a few different examples of Donald Judd's artwork, and I'm going to cycle through those every few seconds just to give you an example. And we're going to move on to our project portion, which is where we are kind of creating our own piece of minimalist art. Now, minimalism depends a lot on the space that the art occupies. Think about how these artists use their space to better showcase their work, you know what I mean? So do they have it in one cramped corner of the room or the canvas, or is it a spacious open area? So do you appreciate the simplicity of the work? Or do you find it to be boring and underwhelming, right? Do you appreciate how simple and clean it is, or do you think it just could really use more? Now, using the handout that we're going to provide, you're going to want to draw objects as simple geometric shapes and write what they represent. Now, we were just talking about having the objects not represent what they are supposed to represent, right? A cube is supposed to be a cube. A triangle is supposed to be a triangle, right? Now, starting from square one and creating minimalist artwork to that extent is really, really difficult. So we're going to take kind of like a diet approach to it, and instead have everyone draw geometric shapes, like say a circle, a rectangle, a triangle, a square, whatever you want to do, and have them represent a particular maybe object or form. Now, once you have that, we are going to compile them onto a bigger space beneath, where you're either going to create a scene or you're going to create something using these bare bones shapes, right, and have them represent something on the canvas. Again, representation is not a part of minimalist artwork in the slightest, but having someone who's not well versed in minimalist form just make something straight off the bat is incredibly difficult, and I didn't want to do that to you guys, so we're going to go with this instead. Now, once you are done with that, you're going to show off your minimalist art to your friends and family. Do they enjoy the simplicity of the art? Can they see what the simple shapes represent? If they can't, think about what you could have done to better show those objects that you are trying to represent. Maybe there's a better way that you could have placed them on the canvas. To extend your journey, minimalism doesn't have to stop at pictures or pieces of art. You can try creating minimalist sculptures or taking pictures that show the least but say the most. You know what I mean? Try taking pictures of very simple objects but have but kind of say the most when they're taken. If you don't find that interesting, you can try and decide what you enjoy more. Now, that does wrap up the project portion of our video. Any pictures and websites relating to minimalist art or Donald Judd will be included in the link section at the bottom of the blog post, as well as a link to this video that will be included in the blog post as well on Artsphere Interactive. I hope everybody had a good time talking with me today, and I will see you in the next one.